Hello everyone, welcome to Hidden Affairs. Here we share real-life stories of love, betrayal, and the secrets people try to keep. Please do subscribe, and share your thoughts about the story in the comment section. Now let's enjoy the story. I am Jack Harlow, an ordinary-looking man, an architect living in a bustling city like Los Angeles. But don't let that appearance fool you. Inside, I am a man who has endured too much pain to get to where I am today. I have a life that many dream of. A stable job, a house that I designed and built with my wife Rachel. She is the one I love, the one I built everything with from our college days to the start of our careers. But everything changed after one day when I came home later than usual. I walked into the house, dropped my bag on the floor, feeling the unusual silence. Rachel wasn't in the living room like she always was. I was used to coming home at this time and finding her there, reading a book or watching TV. But not today. I walked through the rooms, unable to find her. No laughter, no everyday conversations. And when I entered the bedroom, I heard strange sounds coming from inside. It was a phone call, but not from her. I distinctly heard Rachel's voice, but something was off. She was talking to someone. The bedroom door creaked open. I stood there frozen, trying to stay calm as I listened to every word she said. A conversation I never thought I would have to hear. Yes, I'll have everything ready. What about that item? Are you sure you'll bring it? I don't want him to find out. I feel like he's starting to get suspicious. The voice was Alex's, a colleague I never thought about. Those words, they sounded like the clearest confession of something I didn't want to believe. Don't worry. I've told him not to worry about it. But, I can't take this for long, especially now that I'm pregnant. Yeah, I know. He doesn't suspect anything, I'm sure. I can keep going. But don't forget to do the Kegel exercises, so when you get home, he won't suspect anything. My heart stopped. I stood there, unable to believe what I had just heard. Rachel, the person I had once thought of as my partner, was having an affair. And not just with anyone, but with Alex, her boss. They had been intimate, and now she was even worried about keeping her body from being too suspicious. The baby she was carrying couldn't be mine. A lump formed in my throat, and I couldn't breathe. I wanted to rush in and confront her immediately, but something held me back. I needed to be sure. I needed to know everything. I decided not to confront Rachel directly. I didn't want to lose control. I hired a private investigator, a professional I could trust. I followed her movements throughout the week, recording every call, every movement. And what I discovered left me nearly breathless. She met Alex at a hotel, exchanged flirtatious messages, and the sounds of their meeting, it was all clear. I recorded every conversation, and the investigator provided me with more photos, videos. I had enough evidence to not deny it any longer. When I looked at those photos, my heart filled with hatred and pain, but I knew I couldn't let my emotions take control. Everything had to be done methodically to ensure that Rachel and Alex didn't slip away without facing consequences. That night, when Rachel came home, I was ready. She walked in with a suitcase in hand, still on the phone. This time, I didn't need to listen. I already knew everything. I'll be home soon. Everything is ready, she said. She looked at me, confused, as I stood in the living room, no signs of panic. I just stood there, silently, watching her. We need to talk, I said. Rachel stopped, looked at me, then said, "What's going on, Jack?" Her name felt like a knife to my heart. Why should I have to call her she, when we were once husband and wife, when everything was still good? But now it was all gone. I know everything about you and Alex, I said, my voice steady, but inside it was a storm. I know everything you've done, everything you've hidden. She froze, saying nothing. But I could see the panic start to creep into Rachel's eyes. She couldn't believe that I knew. I couldn't stop thinking about what I had heard. Rachel's and Alex's words echoed in my head, like a deep wound in my mind. Over the next few days, I started putting together all the signs of doubt that I had previously ignored. I couldn't believe that the person I loved the most could betray me so shamelessly. Rebuilding the pieces I had once considered normal, I realized clearly that Rachel had changed over the past year. She had become more secretive, less open about her work and life. Sudden phone calls, longer business trips, and nights when she came home late without explanation. My heart tightened when I realized how blind I had been. A feeling of confusion overwhelmed me, when I thought about everything Rachel had said about the tension in her body while being pregnant, how she didn't want me to notice any strange signs. They had planned everything carefully, including keeping the secret from me. But now I knew everything. I decided not to just stand still. I had to face the truth, confront the betrayer, and expose what Rachel had hidden. I knew I needed clear evidence and couldn't rely on just words. I hired a private investigator, an experienced and trustworthy one. Together, we started tracking Rachel's every move. Each time she went out, it was another conversation. Each business trip was another opportunity for me to find more proof. I didn't miss a single detail. The investigator provided me with recordings, photos, and videos capturing Rachel and Alex's meetings, moments I never thought would happen in my life. One of the recordings chilled me to the bone. Rachel and Alex were laughing about a trip they were about to take together. They were talking about booking a hotel room just for them to enjoy the weekend without being disturbed. During their conversation, Rachel couldn't hide her excitement, as she talked about how to keep the excitement in her relationship with Alex while I was at home, completely unaware. "I can't imagine how much he pampers me," Rachel said in a laugh, as if I were just a mere object in our relationship. "What about Doug?" Alex asked. "Doesn't he suspect anything?" "He never suspects," Rachel replied, her voice soft but confident. "And if he does, I'm prepared to handle it. He doesn't do much besides work, can't satisfy me like you do." Those words felt like a slap to my face. I wanted to rush over and throw everything out, but I stopped. I knew I had to be patient. I needed a plan. I couldn't act hastily because I didn't want to become a failure in my own life. Finally, everything was in place. The irrefutable evidence was ready, but I still didn't confront Rachel immediately. Every detail of my plan had to be perfect. I wouldn't just accuse her of betrayal. I would make her feel the greatest loss of her life. When Rachel came home, I was there. She walked in with a smile still on her face, but that strange look, something different from usual, made me realize that she wasn't as innocent as I had once thought. She knew something was off, and I had decided that I wouldn't keep this truth hidden anymore. "Back already?" I asked, my voice devoid of emotion. Rachel turned to look at me, a forced smile on her face. "Yeah, what you doing?" I didn't answer her question, but just looked into her eyes, then said firmly, "I know everything. I know about Alex and everything you've done behind my back." She paled, her eyes filled with panic. But instead of looking at me with shame, Rachel tried to justify herself, saying it wasn't what I thought. She said her work was too stressful, and she just wanted someone to share with. "I don't need an excuse, Rachel," I interrupted. "I don't need to hear your justifications. You betrayed me, and I will never forgive you." Silence filled the room. Rachel stood there silent. She could deny it. She could cry. But I no longer felt anything for her. The only feeling left in me was emptiness. Everything I had done for her now seemed meaningless. But I knew I had to move on. I walked out without a word. She stood there, still unable to process the truth. But I didn't need to explain anything further. Everything was clear now. The bitterness inside me didn't fade. Even though I had faced the betrayal from Rachel and Alex, even though I had exposed everything I knew, this feeling still couldn't be quenched. A part of me still wondered if I was being too harsh. Could I forgive her if she truly regretted it? But then I thought about everything she had done, all the lies, and the betrayal not only against me, but also against everything we had built together. My reasoning put an end to all those weak emotions. I wasn't a fool. She didn't deserve my forgiveness. I couldn't let her think of me as a weak person. It was time for me to act. And my actions wouldn't just be a warning. It would be a powerful statement that no one could deceive me without paying the price. My revenge plan had formed clearly in my mind. I would make Rachel pay for what she valued most. The house we had built, the effort and love I had put into it. I wouldn't destroy everything, but I would make her feel the emptiness, the loss in every piece of furniture, every space she once considered our home. When I started dismantling everything, my coldness grew stronger. I started with the living room, where I had spent hours designing, where we had sat together, drinking coffee every Sunday morning. Every item, from the expensive sofa to the pictures on the walls, was carefully taken apart, packed away, and placed in the bedroom. I remembered the day we picked out each piece of furniture together. Rachel loved this blue sofa. She spent the whole morning choosing it. But now it no longer meant anything to me. I took it apart, carefully unscrewing every screw to return everything to its original state. No more connection. The feeling when I dismantled that sofa was the feeling of wanting to break free from everything I had given her. She thought she could leave and hurt me without any consequence. But no, I wouldn't let that happen easily. Next was the kitchen, where Rachel and I cooked warm meals together on weekend nights. I clearly remember the time she stood in the kitchen, radiant with a happy smile, as we cooked dinner for the family. But now, this kitchen was no longer a place of love and happiness. I started to disassemble each appliance. The fridge, the microwave, the dishwasher, all were taken apart. I didn't destroy them, but I made sure they became useless. All the work I had put into building this house was now reduced to debris, pieces that could never be restored. Every time I disassembled something, I felt like I was breaking apart every piece of that relationship. I didn't want Rachel to come back and feel like she could easily start over. I wanted her to understand that nothing was immune to loss. When I dismantled our bed, where we had shared so many dreams and restless nights, I couldn't help but think about those nights when she was beside me. The times she hugged me, whispered sweet words into my ear, words I now realize were lies. Those words would never return. I wasn't in a hurry. I did it all with patience and precision, because I knew that only when Rachel saw this destruction would she understand the loss I had to endure. I took apart every chair, disassembled every appliance, took down every picture, leaving the house with nothing but bare walls. When I stepped out of the bedroom, I saw Rachel standing at the door. She looked at me, eyes full of surprise and anger. She didn't say anything, just looked at me as if I were a madman. "What are you doing, Jack?" Rachel said, her voice trembling, but trying to stay calm. "I'm taking back what I've lost," I answered, my voice calm but filled with determination. She stepped inside, trying to push me away from the living room, but I didn't budge. I looked at her, no emotion left. "This is our house," she said, her voice breaking. "Why are you doing this way?" I asked again with a smirk. "Because this is no longer my home. This house is nothing but lies, nothing but your betrayal. Now it's just trivial things that mean nothing." Rachel stepped back a step, her eyes full of fear. She understood, she knew that she had lost everything, not just the house but me, the one she thought would always be there. At this moment I felt a sense of relief, though it wasn't joy. I had nothing left to lose, only freedom and self-respect, and I would keep that for the rest of my life. Finally, I understood that betrayal was not just the loss of love but the loss of oneself. In this life, self-respect and honesty in relationships are the most important values, and no matter how painful it may be, if a relationship is no longer built on that foundation, then the ending is inevitable. The end of my relationship with Rachel was the beginning of a new journey, a journey that I would walk alone, no longer burdened by lies and betrayal. Happiness isn't something that can be given easily, but something that each person must build from within. The price Rachel had to pay wasn't just losing me, but also losing the trust and respect of those around her. In me, I had found strength in letting go of a painful past to move into a future that I would create with my own hands. Thank you for listening till the end. If you enjoyed the story, please give a heart in comment section and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories.